Across the continent of Africa, there once roamed in great numbers an animal whose identity was its horn. But as strongly as this is its identity, it has also been its downfall. When people and animals collide, things are never simple. In this wildlife-human conflict, I'm often called in to seek out the truth, to find out what's really happening on the front line. My name is Ivan Carter, hunter, conservationist, and wildlife investigator. I'm in South Africa, the country with the largest remaining rhino population on the planet. Sadly, these numbers are rapidly declining. Approximately every 8 hours, a rhino is poached for its horns. The horns are shipped overseas to the Asian market, where, despite there being no scientific evidence, they sold for their alleged healing and aphrodisiac properties. These beliefs are the foundation from which the wild rhino's impending extinction is said to occur. Some say in less than 10 years. Fortunately, there exist determined individuals who make it their life's work to ensure this does not happen. I'm stepping onto the front line, where I'll meet the brave conservationists and rangers who fight this war every day. I want to learn what's being done and determine if this rhino war has any solution. What better place to start than the Zululand Rhino Reserve, where wildlife veterinarians operate on the front lines. These are the good guys, and they're in the middle of a rhino darting operation. Well, we're just coming out here to where the game scouts have been watching a rhino that's destined to be darted this afternoon. It's part of a research program here, which is really about mapping and plotting the genetics of the rhino. This program is vital to combat poaching in the area. Biopsy samples will be collected for the country's DNA database, and they'll also insert a microchip into the horn. Should a poacher gain possession of the horns, and should they be located, we'll know exactly where the horn originated from. Mike Toft, the contracted veterinarian, specializes in immobilizing large animals. Mike will be working alongside Karen Holmes, who's the general manager of the reserve. He'll be using an air-powered rifle that fires a dart to administer a non-lethal dose of the powerful tranquilizer known as M99. 1,000 times more powerful than morphine, just the tiniest drop of this drug would kill a human in a matter of seconds. And so you'll look at the rhino first?
We're going to have a look at it, age, condition, size.
And so what takes more drug?
Bigger bulls, older animals.
Old, eh?
Up to a point.
Yeah.
For each year, we virtually add 1 milligram of M99. And then from there, you start to fine-tune it. We don't go higher than 5.
Yeah. Mike's actually going to prepare the dart while they're flying so that he can be absolutely sure, having put his own eyes on it. It's such a valuable animal, you want to be totally sure of that. And within the next few minutes, the chopper will go airborne. Hopefully, we'll get a dart into this rhino and things will start to happen. There's a lot that can go wrong. The drug and the dart will be loaded by hand in the moving helicopter, with a dose strong enough to kill a human in seconds. It's imperative that Mike is steady in the turbulent environment. There's no margin for error. We have to rush. This rhino's just over the ridge here. We've got to get as close as we can before they actually fire the dart, just because you don't know how far that rhino's going to run. We've got the wildlife manager of the ranch in front of us. We've got the veterinary vehicle behind us. We could be in for a pretty wild ride. I am Ivan Carter, hunter, conservationist, and wildlife investigator. I've traveled to the Zululand Rhino Reserve here in South Africa. I'm on a mission to help fight a deadly war and to witness firsthand the reality of the rhino's pending extinction. I'm in the midst of an operation, following behind the chopper as we attempt to dart a rhino. The vet looks down the barrel of his dart gun, and the pilot relays the situation to us, the ground team. They've identified the rhino that needs to be darted. The dart, which is several inches long, must deliver the drug into the muscle. Not an easy task on a target with 3-inch thick skin. Mike loads the dangerous liquid into the CO2-powered dart. Now he must make an accurate shot, despite the turbulence, the downdraft from the rotors, the moving helicopter, and the running animal. The dart goes in. You can see the rhinos right below the helicopter. The dart is actually in. The helicopter's staying enough distance that the rhino aren't spooked by it. The one with the dartum is the one at the back. He's starting to drop his tail. His head is dropping down. You can see his tail is just limp, whereas the one in the front, its tail is curled up over its back. That shows that the drug is starting to take effect. What's happening now is the helicopter's just getting in front of them to try and keep them in this open, so we've got easy access to them for the vets and the vehicles to get to them and work on them. The last thing you want is for them to get down in a gully or to get into some thick bush. The bull is ready to go down. You can see how he's high-stepping those front feet, but the young female that he's with is not wanting to leave, and obviously there's significant complications if she's standing right next to him while we're working on him. There, the bull has gone to sleep right on the road. The problem is there's a young female that won't leave him alone. An animal that size can create significant damage to a human. We're going to need the chopper to chase her away. If we approach the bull, she'll most likely charge us with deadly consequences. The clock is ticking, the drug flowing through his veins. We only have 15 minutes and we're wasting precious time trying to get this female away from her mate. Got to just make sure nothing happens to either one of these rhinos. The last thing you want is for her to ram the car or to get injured in any way. The chopper succeeds in pushing the female away, but the team must act fast. She could return at any moment. The vet's approaching the bull for the first time. The first thing they're going to do is put a cloth over his eyes. One of the effects of the drug is to dilate the pupils of the eye, so you can have eye damage if that pupil is just staring at the sky, fully dilated. You can see the speed that everybody's working at. The time limit is absolutely crucial. We've only got 15 minutes for them to do all of their work. I am Ivan Carter. I'm in the Zululand Rhino Reserve to see firsthand what's being done to prevent the rhino's impending extinction, and more importantly, to determine if there's a solution. We've just darted a male rhino. The drug is flowing through his veins, and we only have 15 minutes before we need to administer the antidote and wake him up. They're putting socks in the rhino's ears. That's just to minimize the stress of all of these sounds. Now what we're going to do is push him over. We must push the rhino onto his side. Even though being on his sternum is better for his respiratory tract, blood supply may be cut to the extremities, making it difficult to stand the rhino up again. That little cow is still wanting to come back. It's really important that she's kept out of the way, for the good of her and the good of us. Now what's happening is Dylan's pouring water over him. They've got a propensity to overheat during this kind of scenario, and so making sure that he stays cool and wet is absolutely crucial to his well-being. Karen is doing the measurements. She's measuring the width of his lip. Everybody is extremely focused at this point. First, they take biopsy samples. This helps build the country's genetic database as these rhino are moved and as they are bred. Blood is drawn, from which the DNA will be collected, and a little bit of the antidote is given just to keep the rhino in a slightly less depth of anesthesia. Finally, and most importantly, we insert microchips into the horns and into the skin behind the ear. Most of the information gathered here will be used indirectly to combat poaching. It may not be harder for poachers to kill this rhino, But if this rhino is poached, and if the horns are ever located on their journey east, it'll be easy for the authorities to identify where they came from. So right inside this needle is the microchip that's going to go into this horn, and then into the back horn, and then under the neck. And what we're doing is just blocking the hole here with some wood glue and just a little bit of sand on the outside of it. And that microchip is going to make that horn trackable for the rest of his days. That's a chip in his body, so that if they were to find his carcass and the horns were removed, you'd still be able to know exactly which rhino this is. It's amazing to just see how much has to happen in this 15 minutes. Everybody's working really quickly. And this is a side of conservation that a lot of people don't realize actually happens. The rhino's starting to breathe a little differently. In a few minutes, he's going to get a full antidote. And then a couple of minutes later, he's going to stand up and leave, no worse for wear whatsoever. And hopefully he'll get to live to a ripe old age.
Just getting ready to wake this guy up. Obviously, the sooner we can get him up, the better now.
He's just starting to regain consciousness there. Here we go. And he stands up, a little confused. White rhinos are social animals, and as the rhino starts to regain all of his senses, his first reaction is to wander around looking for his mate. As if in thanks for the work that we've done for the species, we get a rare glimpse into their lives. There's a lot of people out there that say, by saving one animal, you can't make a difference. Today we made a difference not just to one rhino, but we made a difference to two. And that's what really matters, if we can all just make a difference. I talk to the people on the ground here, and their stories are chilling. They talk of a trade that has brought an entire species to the very brink of extinction in many countries north of where I stand. They talk about the brutal defacing of rhinos, in some cases, while they're still alive. I hope to learn more at my next destination, Kruger National Park. Covering a surface area of over 7,000 square miles, it's located in the northeastern region of South Africa and borders both Zimbabwe and Mozambique. Not only is it one of the largest game reserves on the continent and home to over half the world's remaining rhinos, it's also home to some of the most passionate and efficient anti-poaching personnel in the world. To protect the rhinos, the anti-poaching teams use state-of-the-art equipment provided by South African national parks and private benefactors such as Howard Buffett. One of the leading men, Section Ranger Richard Sowry, is an old friend, and I'm hoping he can provide some insight into his perspective on this war, a war that he's fighting every day. I arrive in the park to some sinister news. There's been 8 shots fired in the night. 8 shots is a lot of shooting. This is a part of the park that's got a lot of rhino in it, and subsequently the last few weeks and months, there's also been a lot of poaching. Richard is on duty and has asked me that I meet him near where the shots were fired.
Morning, Rich.
How's it, mate?
How are you?
And you?
Sounds like some shots, eh?
Yeah, about 2 a.m. They were heard by some of our clandestine patrols. We had a hunch the guys would be operating in this area, so we put clandestines out. Only we know where they are, or I know where they are.
Clandestine patrols. Richard plans these undercover patrols and is the only one with the knowledge of where they actually are. The rangers quietly camp and listen, immediately reporting to him if they see or hear anything that may indicate poacher activity.
So you reckon over here, just in this little valley, is that where they said, eh?
It was in this direction, general direction, so
Yeah.
we're going to have a look. We've got guys looking already. They've been operating since first light. They could have wounded an animal, you don't know, but that many shots, it's probably pretty likely there's something down.
I have no idea as to what we're going to find, One thing is for certain. If 8 shots were fired, there was absolutely a contact of some sort.
It really is a needle in a haystack type of scenario. The clandestine patrol was just up in this valley here. I think that the shots were fired somewhere along just in front of us here. We're gonna move in here, having a look for any kind of sign of a rhino running, any kind of sign that there may be a dead rhino, any sign of human footprints. You'll notice that Richard's actually got his heavy caliber double rifle. That's just in case we bump into any one of the heavy bone, thick skin animals that are frequent in this bush, whether it's elephant, buffalo, rhino. You know, and having had shots fired, there could be a chance that any one of those things could be wounded, and you need to be able to stop them if they try and kill you. The anti-poaching guys have all got military weaponry. After all, they're hunting humans.
We walk further into the bush, closer to where it's thought the shots were fired, hoping that perhaps we'll find nothing, but nervous that we'll find a massacre.
Ah, look there. There's a carcass. It's not a very big carcass.
Looks like a baby, man.
I am Ivan Carter, hunter, conservationist, and wildlife investigator. After darting a rhino for tracking purposes, I've traveled to Kruger National Park, where I've met Section Ranger Richard Sowry. We're now walking into an area in which 8 gunshots were reportedly fired last night.
There's a carcass.
Looks like a baby, man. Look how small this thing is. I mean, this is a year old, Rich.
Yeah, it's tiny.
A baby rhino, hardly a year old. Blood staining the ground where it struggled with its last steps.
Probably a heart-lung shot, so this is the blood that you can see it coming out of its nose. It would have bled out here and died here.
This thing hardly even had horns, man. Look at that. I mean, the back horn hardly existed. Look, they've not even... It was just a little lump, man. You know, it's hardly a human being that can kill a baby. I mean, these guys are after the horn. This thing hardly even had a horn. This thing was probably just at the end of its first year of life. This has got to stop, Rich. This has got to stop, man.
You know, you get so hardened by it. You see it so often. This little guy could have added so much more value than just to the poacher, because that's the only bloke who's going to be benefiting from this.
Rich, you know, this specific group of people has got to be stopped. The kind of person that's just going to kill a baby.
Yeah, these guys are going to be back, and when they come back, we're going to be waiting for them.
8 shots were heard last night. This baby was young enough that it was likely still with its mother. The poachers likely spotted both of them, and as the rhinos ran, they fired their rifles, killing the baby and possibly wounding the mother. The baby had but a single bullet hole.
Where did the other 7 shots go? That's what we're trying to find out. Any blood there?
Nothing. It's a young rhino, that carcass over there. And that would have been probably still with its mother. I don't know, it doesn't piece together.
There's no blood down here. Chances are that the rhino has run away wounded.
Richard calls in his patrol. The poachers are armed and in possession of a horn. Fully aware of the efficient anti-poaching teams run by Sand Parks, they'll be making a beeline towards the boundary fence. We now enter private land. This is the section of the greater Kruger system. As Richard's patrol team searches for the poachers, we start to follow the rhino tracks, leading us away from the crime scene. While there's no blood at all on the ground, it must be remembered that a rhino's skin can be up to 3 inches thick, allowing for a bullet to pass through and effectively seal off the wound. But it's not long before we come across our first dropping. We're getting closer to her.
You know, Richard's choice of dogs for this particular event is a Rhodesian Ridgeback. Very, very good in the African bush. It's a very hardy breed, and they're particularly fearless.
Richard's dogs are perfect for tracking wounded game. They're trained specifically for this type of situation, unlike the anti-poaching dogs, which are trained to hunt man.
As the day wears on, the environmentals change, things that you wouldn't even be aware of in an urban environment, how the wind starts to slowly increase, how the humidity starts to drop as the day gets warmer. You know, we've got two things that we've got to consider here. The efficiency of the dogs with regard to the scent, and the efficiency of the trackers with regard to the track.
Hey, go, go! Go, go!
Suddenly, the senior field ranger calls to us and quickly advances with his rifle held ready. Poachers have been spotted in the distance running off. I'm Ivan Carter, hunter, conservationist, and wildlife investigator. I'm on a mission to determine what's being done about the rhino's impending extinction and to determine if in fact there is a solution. I'm with Richard Sowry, a section ranger in the Kruger National Park. Last night, a baby rhino was killed. 8 shots were fired. And now we're on the tracks of the mother, whom we suspect may be wounded. We spotted poachers in the distance. They're armed, dangerous, and desperate people. Rather than simply chase after them, we immediately call in the chopper and specialist tracker dog that's been standing by.
Some poachers actually bumped into the guys. No shots were fired, but we're just waiting for the helicopter to come in, possibly with the tracking dog, and then we'll see what happens. It's all moving pretty fast right now. The light is fading. We're in about the last hour and a half of daylight. Okay, well, the chopper's on the way in. We're just calling them with the ground-to-air radio. The poachers just ran off here, so we're right behind them. Here they come. Richard's just talking them in, telling them exactly where the poachers went so that they don't destroy any scent. We're just going to get out of the way here. These guys are going to get on the ground as fast as possible and get in as close as they can to where the poachers were last seen.
To protect the identities of the task force, we cannot film their faces as they touch the ground. But they are soon on the tracks of the poachers. The dog picks up the scent and pulls strongly on the leash.
That dog's going to be on those tracks and surrounded by people who are very good at hunting other people. It's going to be a bad couple of hours to be a poacher right now. That's a Parks chopper going over. Those guys are looking out from above. If these guys make a break, if the dog gets too close, if the people get too close and they make a break, that Parks chopper is going to see them instantly.
Okay, copy. Thanks for the update, Tyler. I just got a call on the radio. They say the dog's running on that track.
Awesome.
It's fresh now, so
That's awesome.
should be good.
That's awesome. You know what? Once you've got a dog on your heels and you're surrounded by task force, there ain't no many places you're going to run.
Military precision and equipment highlights the truth of the conservation war that rages here. This is the reality of the rhino war.
This truly is modern-day conservation. These are the stories that nobody wants to talk about. But the South African national parks, this is the essence of the success that they enjoy with regard to their wildlife. It's because of this kind of reaction, it's because of the millions of dollars that go into protecting this wildlife that is going to be here for our children's children.
We continue to follow behind the task force when we smell something, a familiar smell.
We smelt something dead here. It's a kind of a very musty, acrid odor. So we're just going back now that we've taken care of this. The choppers are hovering over where that poacher's been tracked by the dog. We're going to come back and see if the scent means anything.
Ivan.
See a few vulture feathers hanging in the trees here. So whatever was dead is going to be pretty close by. You know, everything in the bush is about tiny little signs. These vulture feathers like that are some of those tiny little signs. They're like little flags.
Hey, no! Shumba, no! Shumba, no!
What's going on here?
I'm Ivan Carter. following up on 8 shots that were fired last night, we located a baby rhino poached for its horn. The mother suspected wounded. While following her tracks, we spotted a group of poachers, and now we're in the midst of an intense manhunt. The poachers have become the hunted, and the chopper and the sandparks operatives are right on their heels. Meanwhile, Section Ranger Richard Sowry and I, with the help of his dogs, have discovered something else.
There's a rhino carcass up here, one that nobody knew about. This is the real deal right here. We've got a helicopter in the air chasing a poacher. We've got a rhino carcass from a few days ago here, indicated by these seemingly pretty little feathers here. This is unbelievable.
The smell is thick in the air. It's a dry husk of skin stretched across the putrefying remains of what was just a few days before a living rhino.
You know, it just breaks your heart when you physically see this. This is not a photo. This is not make-believe. This is the reality. This is what we are bound and destined to protect. And this is what the South African National Parks is putting so many millions of dollars into protecting. Not just to protect rhinos like this, but to protect the entire future. We've got to do something. We have to do something.
Like elephants, rhinos belong to a group of animals known as pachyderms. Their horn is not as unique as the Asian markets believe.
The irony. This is the sole of the rhino's foot. The hooves of the rhino are made out of exactly the same material as the horn. Yet this has been discarded as trash, and the horn has been taken as something of value, valuable enough to kill this rhino for. This has got to stop. The lack of understanding of what this really is astounding.
Jeffrey saw poacher tracks over there.
Another one.
No, that's the poacher tracks from these guys. They've probably come to check where they've been operating.
There are fresh tracks walking past the carcass. These poachers are regulars here.
The Jet Ranger with the forensics guys are inbound to the initial coordinates you guys gave us.
Okay, copied. Now on the track, they've picked up some bags and stuff the guys have dropped while on the run. So now they're bringing police helicopter with a forensic team to pick up the belongings.
Until you get in the middle of this, you have no idea.
It's a war. Daily.
This is a third chopper coming in as these guys have run. They've dropped all of their bags. This is the forensics department that are going to come and pick up that bags and analyze anything and everything that they've left behind. All of this is an effort to stop these poachers. And this is the only way that we're going to do that.
I'm Ivan Carter. I'm in Kruger National Park, investigating the death of a baby rhino. While tracking the baby's mother, a group of poachers was spotted. Now with air support, a team of sandparks operatives on the ground, and tracker dogs, the chase is in full swing. But the light is fading fast. The poachers are nearing the park's boundary. If they make it over the fence, they will melt into the community. We seem to be making ground as the poachers have jettisoned their personal effects in an attempt to be lighter on their feet. The task force just found a bag that the poachers dropped.
One of our own guys has come back with the bag. He's going to hand them over. And then that's going to go to forensics and get analyzed as fast as possible. They're going to look for any sign of where these guys might have come from, whether they've come from Mozambique, whether they've come from the western part of South Africa, any clues that they can get. Then they can feed that back into Central Intelligence and we can get a good idea of where these guys have come from.
Richard hands over the bag to the forensics team. He's just received a progress update on the poachers.
They're going to keep going and they could go out. You see, this is what you want those free-running foxhounds for. Dog sees very well at night, so they carry on running on the track. Those choppers are night vision capable, so the follow-up will go from day to dark.
We're in the border region of Kruger, close to the fence. If the poachers scale the fence before we can catch them, our chances to apprehend them are slim. The sun is setting, we're running out of daylight.
The choppers are carrying into the evening here. The dogs are still on their trail. This is not over yet.
We leave the team on the tracks, highly competent and efficient. There's nothing else we can do to help here. We must get back to what we originally set out to do. Every day, countless lives are lost to a war fashioned purely out of mythical belief. And here in South Africa, that war is raging. Rhinos are at the center of it all. Their horns are their most fatal asset. Traded through many Asian countries, the rhino horn is said to be a status symbol for the wealthy and for the elite. I know who's fighting this war: the brave conservationists, the rangers and the vets. And I know how they're fighting it, with microchips tracking the horns and military-trained personnel on both the ground and in the air. Now the question remains, is that enough to stop the poaching epidemic? What additional efforts are needed in order to bring this deadly war to an end? Will there be a future for the rhinos? Or will this story end in a grim conclusion? I continue my search for answers here in the Kruger National Park, where we've been following the tracks of a mother, whom we suspect may be wounded. I've asked Livingston to help locate her. He is a man who stood right next to me through some hair-raising moments over the years and whose tracking skills are exceptional. Great trackers gather far more information than meet the eye. From a single track, they can tell the age of the track, the age of the animal, and often what it's likely to do next.
Having a tracker like Livy is absolutely crucial. I can see the odd track here, but he's following it like it's been drawn in paint on the ground. It's unbelievable just watching him work.
Before I can call Richard and mobilize the vet team, I need to physically see this rhino.
It's eating here. Yeah, it's eating. You can see how it's snipped off. These grass stalks, look here. They look like they've been cut with a pair of scissors. That's from the rhino grazing here. As he's walked through, it's almost cut it like a lawn. This is a rhino that has rubbed up against here yesterday, and as tough as the tracking is right now, the last thing we need is other rhino tracks coming in and confusing the track that we've been on.
The ground is hard, making it all the more difficult to identify the tracks. But with Livy's keen eye, we make progress.
Yeah, Livy, look here. I can't see any bullet holes, but you know, these rhinos have got such thick skin. It only takes rolling in one wallow, and it can close up a bullet hole. We're pretty secure that this is the same rhino that we're following. These are the tracks that we left yesterday evening. We've just got to now make sure that we get far enough away so that I can talk freely to Richard without disturbing it. Let's carry on out this way.
Every sign tells us this is the mother. She looks okay, but a bullet hole is small and can easily be hidden on the huge hide of this animal. I back out and call on the radio to Richard. Contracted wildlife veterinarians, among the most experienced vets in the world, are on the way. The vet, Peter Rogers, is well versed in rhino darting. He has been standing by for our call. As they arrive, I hastily explain her location and distinguishing features.
Okay, this rhino is right down here in this valley.
As the chopper locates the rhino, she runs and is immediately joined by two others. The stakes are high. If we don't dart the correct rhino, this will all be for nothing.
The chopper's going in low, and the dart is about to be deployed. Now is probably the most crucial 7 minutes of the whole affair. If that dart goes in properly, you've got about 7 minutes till the rhino goes down.
The dart hits. There's no going back from here. If the mother rhino is wounded, she'll have the very best on hand to give her medical attention.
This is perfect. The rhino's coming into the open, which is crucial for being able to get up to it quickly. The very first thing that happens once it goes down, I'll run in with a rag and we'll close over its eyes, because a part of the effect of the drug is that it'll dilate the pupils of this rhino. We just got to watch for the signs whether the dart's actually taken effect. Its head is starting to drop. You can see the bright orange dart in its rump. You can see the rhino's front feet. It's starting to do that high step. That high step is indicative that the dart is taken properly. Now we've just got to be careful that the rest of the herd doesn't get in the way of this. You can see that high step. This rhino's very close to going down. She's about to go down. We've just got to look at both sides very carefully. Just got to get around, try and minimize the stress of this whole situation. Okay, you can see her eyes are really, really wide. You can see the dart in her rump there. Here we go. Okay, rhino down.
She's down, but is she wounded?
Carter's War would like to thank the following people and organizations. Without their help, this program would not be possible.
I'm Ivan Carter. On my journey, I've come across a dead baby rhino killed by poachers in the Kruger National Park. We concluded that 8 shots were fired, but only 1 bullet was found in the young rhino. For 2 days, we've been tracking the mother, and this morning we saw her for the first time. The veterinary helicopter is here, and the dart has been fired.
The rhino's down. Just give her a couple more minutes. Here we go. Okay. Okay. Just have a look on that side, Rich. I'm not seeing any wounds at all on this side. Nothing on that side, Rich? Fantastic. There's nothing on the front, just the normal scars. There's nothing wrong with this rhino at all, which is fantastic news. This is awesome. Now the vets have got to work really, really quickly. We've got about 15 minutes before this rhino has to get back up on its feet. You can see the shaking. The shaking is just the normal effects of the drug. We're going to just try and stand her up on the brisket, which is a lot more healthy for the rhino with regard to fluids in its lungs and its respiratory system. 1, 2, 3. Okay. Okay. This rhino is completely unwounded. This is a great moment right here. But we're going to take advantage of everything. What we're also going to do is some transponders are going to be put in the horns, do all of the measurements on this particular rhino, and we're going to notch its ears. That means it's going to have a visual signature. Getting some oxygen in, you can imagine an animal this valuable, not just this valuable in dollars terms, but this valuable to the entire ecosystem. There's a lot of pressure on the vets to make sure this all goes well.
There's no visible wound. A flood of emotion and elation take over. It's a glimmer of hope in a grim circumstance.
So as you can see, a giant amount of effort going into the overall welfare of this animal, not only in the fact that we spent all of this time looking for this animal, but now that it's down and we've realized that it's totally unwounded, we're taking full advantage of all of this to make sure that there's as much data gathered from this particular scenario as possible. It's going to go into a database and it's going to lead into the conservation of this as a species. You know, Rich, as sad as it is to lose a calf like that, just knowing that the prime breeding adult is okay, I mean, this is the most important asset to the whole system, to the wildlife as a whole, are your prime breeding adults, isn't it, eh? Particularly a cow.
The vets administer the antidote for the M99, and it flows through her veins.
The ears are starting to flick a little bit. See how she's starting to get a bit more movement in her ears? And as she starts getting aware, we're going to back off and get on this vehicle because she could get up in a really rough mood. She's had a lot of stress. She's going to have a lot of human smell around her. Helicopter chased her in her last memory, so we just want to get out of her way. But what a fantastic, hey? It's awesome, eh?
As the rhino stands up, for a brief moment, both Richard and I forget the war. We forget the death, the faces hacked off. We forget the blood and the horror, and we bask in the joy of the moment. A moment where this rhino takes her first unsteady steps into the rest of her life. The vets have taken the opportunity to fit her horn with microchips in case she ever falls prey to those who would sell her horn for money. The rhino war is real. Fought on one side by bullets and violent death in the name of fast money driven by a myth. The other side motivated by passion and conservation. Sadly, to most people, rhino are just numbers, their lives statistics. It may be a grim conclusion to this journey, but this is the reality of the rhino war, and it happens every day. The people on the front lines fighting this war, who work so passionately and diligently every day, they need support. My support, your support. They're fighting a war, and with our help we'll be able to do it ever more efficiently. I truly believe there is hope.